Hey kids, if you want to learn how to make really cool patch hats with a heat press, stick around because I'm about to introduce you to the HTVRONT hat press. I do a lot of hat orders. They just tend to be embroidery, but every once in a while people want patches. And not just any patch, a lasered patch. Like this one. The thing is, between the laser time to make the patch, cut the patch out, and then get it attached to a hat using embroidery, it's a bit much and takes a lot of time. So in an effort to reduce the amount of time, I want to use a hat press. Thing is, I don't really have room for another thing in here. Especially some Jaws of Life looking thing. I mean, that's why I got that one, right? But then HTVRONT came out with a hat press. Now it's top down only, which means you're not going to be able to do things like that nice silver looking like acrylic stuff, which is awesome stuff, but you need basically like a really heavy duty industrial heat press for that. But cork, leather, leatherettes, absolutely. Girl Scout patches, heck yeah. Or just any patch with an iron-on backing on it. Although I will say, you want to get something that's like really sturdy, like this Hydbond stuff that I have. Don't worry, I'll put a link down below in the description. The only reason I say that is because I have heard so many complaints in all of my laser groups of some leatherettes basically peeling off of the hats. This stuff won't though. So let's hop right into showing you all of the parts and a basic project how I made this hat. This design was inspired by Helldivers 2, a game that recently released and has completely captured my attention. It's very Star Troopers-esque with the managed democracy and abundant patriotism. Yeah, liberty! Eagle sweat! It turned out really well. In case you're curious, my engraving settings in the Xtool software were 300 millimeters per second for the speed, 10% power at 200 dots per centimeter. Cutting speed was 10 millimeters per second at 40% power. Also, one of the things that I made sure to do was to take a nice leather spray that's matte and spray this down so none of the soot on this thing is going to rub off onto anybody's fingers. It also protects the cork. So let's take a moment to look at all the different parts that come with the hat press. First, we have the main heating unit. This is actually the press here, and it's handheld as you can see and will be top down, but it's tapered to fit a hat. Next, we have the little floofy puffy thing, which is basically a thermal cover that you can put here on top of this bubble that basically shapes the hat. Now, one of the things I like is the storage mechanism of this. So this little contraption here unlocks on either side, drops, and then you can take this off and use this to hold the heating unit while you're working with the hat. Then when you're all done, you basically just wrap all of this up, put it inside, put this on top and this on top of there, and it's easy to store. Now for someone like me who just likes to ADHD skate through life and pick up every hobby and every gadget known to man for DIY, I'm really liking the fact that it can get really compact and be easy to store. So I'm gonna start by first I toggled this on, and then I hit this nice shiny sun button, which allows you to crank the heat up or down. Otherwise it's locked. So I've pressed it, and now I'm gonna just crank it up to 300, which is what Hydbond recommends for top-only sealing of their cork. Now we're just gonna let it sit there. It's auto-locked, so it's not going to change any of the temperature settings. We're gonna let it heat up to temperature, and then we're gonna do our pre-press. Okay, we're up to temperature. One big thing to recognize is that this cord here, if you touch the heating element, guess what? It's gonna melt. And what you wanna do is turn it this way. It's a little bit egg-shaped, so you want the egg to be shaped like a head. If your head is very wide like this, maybe you need it that way. But in general, you're supposed to place it this way. Now we're going to put the little thermal cover on top of it, and that's so you don't melt the plastic. Thermodynamics, y'all! Here's the hat that I have selected. This is a basic dad cap. It'll be really easy to squish onto this thing, plus I hate trucker hats. I have nothing against truckers, I just don't like trucker hats. If you need to, go ahead and pop open the back of the hat. If it's adjustable, it'll make it a little easier to put this over. So you're gonna put it this way. You're not gonna go this way with the hat because you need to bear down on it top-wise. So we're just gonna wrap it underneath like so. It's kind of hard to do this while trying to remain on camera, so forgive me if it's kind of hinky. So get it underneath so it's nice and grip, and hold it down with one hand and then tug on the other. What you want is for this to be accessible, smooth, and shaped correctly. And eventually I will get there. Okay, I'm there. That's good enough. There we go. I'm going to be a perfectionist and keep tugging at it. It's an affliction. So, one of the things that Hydbond recommends, and I usually recommend doing this at first too, is to preheat the surface. So we want to do a press initially of the hat to warm up the surface so that the Hydbond will stick. There's two other things that I would suggest that you bring to the work table, and that is heat tape and parchment paper. You can use Teflon or butcher's paper if you want. Either one works just fine for this. This is to protect the patch and the hat from getting burned, and this is to hold the patch in place so it doesn't wiggle while you're trying to seal it on. And before I do anything else, because this is all time sensitive, I'm going to carefully peel off the protection from the Hydbond on the back. Now I'm going to press for 30 seconds in the area where I want my patch to go. And I'm going to give it light pressure. You don't have to bear down on it like you're giving birth. Okay, lift that up. And now I'm going to gently place where I want the patch to go. Oh, so gently. So this should help kind of lay it down. But you see how it kind of wants to wiggle around. So the heat isn't really going to like keep it where it needs to be or like pre-seal it. So that's why I say get a little bit of heat tape to hold it in place. Don't use anything other than heat tape because it will melt and ruin the hat. And since I'm an overachiever, we're going to do this in 4 ways because I know what's going to happen is I will mess up. It's just my MO. Now before I do any pressing, I'm going to take this parchment paper and lay it on top. And now we're going to do one more press, light pressure, for 35 seconds. Okay, so you don't want to lean too much. As you can see, it's cylindrical. If you lean too much, you're going to slip, and God only knows what's going to happen on the other side of that. For me, I'm lucky it's just a cutting mat. But if you were doing this somewhere else and you had your hand over here, yikes. So let's take a look. And I'm just going to like poke a little bit with my nails on the corners here because it's usually the corners that'll get you. Same deal when you're doing t-shirts and stuff with heat transfer vinyl is you just like sometimes the corners just don't want to lay down and you sit here for hours like trying to get it to stick. Seems like it's good. Yeah, that's nice. Huzzah. Wow. I mean, with the cork, it's fine to kind of like do this again, but you know, I think we're good. I don't think that's gonna go anywhere. Okay, let's take it off of here. Oh yeah, look at that. That is pretty darn cool. I like that. I'm gonna be wearing that on my stream tonight while playing Helldivers 2. Hey, thanks for coming along on the hat press journey where we made this glorious Liberty hat. And that's to not be confused with anything else. This is basically a Helldivers 2 reference. I like video games where I shoot bugs and robots all day. I'm actually kind of obsessed with it right now. It's healthy. Hey, but we're done. So make sure to leave your comments and questions down below. I've left all of the links where you can find these awesome things or the Hydbond cork, leatherette, etc. If you have any interest in getting into this, please let me know if you do, because I'd love to have friends where I can share this with. Please let me know if you do end up getting one because I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go serve democracy and freedom by killing bugs and robots all night long and neglecting my family in the process.